like a Hellcat.
What's up, everyone? This is Nazka. New year, new format for Quickie with this time. We're here today with Jaesun J1, the team manager for Splyce Overwatch. Jay, can you introduce yourself? Where do you come from? And why are you here in Overwatch?
Yeah, sure. It's great to be here, Nazca. I'm Jay. Everyone just calls me Jay. Um, I have been with Splice Overwatch since before they were actually with Splice, when they were Fine I'll Go McCree. Pure, who's the team captain, Brad, he asked me to manage them early on when they were trying to look for a organization to sign them on. And me and Pure had become friends through actually closed beta of Overwatch. This is the second phase of closed beta because I never got to have time to play in the first phase of closed beta. And me and Pure got really close in the game. Like, I was this was actually my first FPS, actually, to play really. I used to be a semi-pro fighting game player a long time ago. I mean, a really long time ago, like really early on. And I used to play for Empire Arcadia, which is an org that has its issues. But that was probably almost 20 years ago. And then I didn't really have time for too many games. And then I was originally not going to play Overwatch at all, but I was transitioning and retiring out of the military, so I had a lot of free time on my hands. So I decided to play closed beta, and I played it nonstop. And then I don't know about you, or I know this happened to a lot of people that play Overwatch, is that when they play by themselves, you'll notice like nobody ever wants to play support. So I decided to play support, and I got mad because no one ever played support. But I remember I used to watch Pure stream a lot, and I would go into his stream and I would chat with him, and we would just have long conversations, just random stuff, not just the game. And then we became friends that way. And then we actually met up when the Final Go McCree team went to the Alienware tournament at the Microsoft store in New York City.
I
Him and I
remember
met.
that one, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And it was they won. They won all the one Alienware machines. And Pure and I, we got to hang out a couple days. We got to become friends. And then after a while, they were trying to like actually get signed by a team. And this is like the old roster. This is with Steel and Flame and them and Papa Smurf and
Clockwork,
Clockwork.
wasn't
Yep,
it? Yeah,
yep. Clockwork was there.
if I remember. Yeah,
Yeah. And originally, before there, Black Star used to play with the team,
yeah, I
but
remember
he,
too. Yeah.
yeah, he used to play with the team, but because he has a full-time career, he couldn't actually. That's the same thing that happened to Papa Smurf too. They
Yeah.
both had full-time careers, and they couldn't justify getting, turning away from that just for a chance at esports. So originally, there was a couple of teams that looked at Final Go McCree, and then eventually we settled on Splice, and they've been a great work so far.
Okay, great. So that's why you went for the manager role, right? Not like because you didn't think you had the professional level,
Yeah,
or
I mean, I didn't want to like start like playing and try to like get that. Like, I mean, I was decent in closed beta, but it was a grind, just like it is still a grind now.
it's
But
still a grind. Yeah.
yeah, it's still a grind. It was a pretty big grind in closed beta, but I mean, I just didn't feel like I had the time to dedicate. So, and then Pure asked me to because it's a sad thing about esports is that trying to find people that you can trust is actually very difficult uh, because everything happens most of the time initially through the anonymity of the internet. So people, true natures get to stand out a lot. So a lot of people, there's a lot of backstabbing in esports.
Yeah.
So so Pure he trusted me, and so did the rest of the teammates. So they asked me to help manage them because they said, I had a distant esports background, but at the same time, I was a lot older. I was a lot older. I had a lot of experience, and just in terms of just general managerial stuff because of the
Okay.
military, and so that's why they asked me.
Okay. So tell us a bit more about what is it to be a manager? What is it you do for your boys exactly? And how is it different from say like a coach?
Okay, a coach like our coach right now is Wizard Young. He's actually a Korean player, and he coaches a team straight from Seoul. He's been great for the team. He works really hard. Our old coach was Black Star, but so like again, he's got a career, so he doesn't have as much time. So right now he's more of a like he's
Consultant?
sort of taking like a consultant role. He still helps with the team. He cares about the guys and everything, but he doesn't have time to invest as much as so a coach. They try to help come up with plays. They come up with they analyze how the team plays. They watch the scrims. They come up with team compositions. They come up with all these little things. Like Wizard. He'll constantly they'll do VOD reviews of all their scrims. They'll do VOD reviews of their matches, and they'll do VOD reviews of other competitive matches from other teams, just to see this is the type of play you guys should be making, or this is where you made a mistake in this play. The coach he's always on top of them about that. And at the same time, he's trying to give them as much moral support as he can. Negative reinforcement never really helps. He tries to be a positive influence on them as much as possible. While the manager, I'm more of the admin role. I'm mainly also a liaison between the team and the actual organization. So I help ensure that the team keeps up with all their sponsorship responsibilities, because once you're assigned team, you do have responsibilities. A lot of times that has to do with social media. Anybody that's been in esports knows this. The
True.
sponsors care about how well the team does, because that sort of can denote how popular the team is, but at the same time, the sponsor really cares about the players making sure they get their sponsor's name out when they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So I deal with that a lot, and then I handle the minutia of player contracts, little things with, especially if they have to go to lands, all the logistics behind it, and then whatever the org needs from the team, I try to facilitate that. And whatever the team needs from the org, I try to facilitate that as well.
Okay. So
Uh,
you're the
there's
guy
some
who.
managers that also tend to do a lot of things with scrim scheduling. I generally don't have time for that usually, because I have other things to do with the org. Scrim scheduling, we actually have our VOD analyst deal with that, and that's Victor. And so he'll handle the scrim schedule and the calendar for them.
Okay. So each one has a defined role, right?
Yes.
So you mainly talk with Pure, the team captain, or do you like talk with everyone?
Well, a lot of times there'll be conversations between just me and Pure, having to deal with the whole future of the team, how the team is doing, the health of the team in terms of like when I mean health of the team, like is if the team's been doing bad for a while, like as we saw like in the early days of Splyce, like we were not getting good results in tournaments. We were doing okay, but for some of the names on the team and some of the pedigree on the team, they were not performing as they should be. So I'd have conversations for hours with Pure and Blackstar about what was wrong, what they needed to change, and then sometimes you just got to make those difficult decisions about letting people go and
Splitting
then
up,
looking
yeah.
for somebody. It's not, and it's never having to do with a player being bad. A lot of times it has to do with team synergy, because obviously Flame and Clockwork, none of them are bad players. They're all fantastic players in their
Yeah.
own right. It's just sometimes just with team synergy, you just have to change like one or two
It
things.
doesn't fit.
Yeah, if the fit doesn't work, like look at originally at the new roster for C9. In the beginning, when the new roster happened on paper, that was probably
Yeah, one
like
of the most
unstoppable.
frightening. Yeah.
But they're still working out those kinks, to get that team synergy together. So
Yeah.
that's the main thing with Splyce. Sometimes we had to go through several roster changes, and there was a long time where we only had 5 members. So our 6 man was always a sub, and great for Shane to step up and help us during the E League times.
Yeah.
But that entire like 3 month stretch, we had only 5 people, and we had a tank that had a full time job that he could only play a couple hours per day, and we still made it to E League. I mean, we didn't do great at E League, but we still made it where a lot of teams didn't. But now that we have a new roster, which is half EU, Um, you guys are really dedicated. We have a new DPS player because Clockwork Matt, he decided to move on. He went to NRG, and we picked up Moffat. And we still got Shrugger and Pure from the original roster, and it's been working out great. Like in terms of scrims and everything, they've been doing a lot better in tournaments. They're still working kinks out because the roster is still new, and at the same time because like especially if you watch during the game versus the Alienware monthly versus or was it the Razor Zone versus Kangarna and then the Alienware versus Kingdom, like all our EU players were having massive lag spikes, and it just sucks. It just sucks because
Yeah, shit happens, but
yeah.
you got to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things when you do have players that are going to play with heavier lag, you just sort of have to adjust and you just sort of have to deal with it.
Yeah, how's for yeah? I wanted to talk about the Live the Battle Arena, the tournament. Like Splyce actually won that tournament against Kungana. That is the Rising Star team, kind of in
We
Alien's
lost versus
time.
Ghana in the week before.
Yeah,
That was where we had some issues with like, and then just after a while, the team seems to get all teams once they've lost one or two matches, they can get tilted. So, but they won last week versus Citizen Seven, which is another Rising Star. Citizen Seven being
true.
well known for they did very well during the Winter Series. They beat FaZe during the Winter Series, and Citizen Seven is one of the rising stars right now of the unsigned teams. Them, Kangana, and Cat Five, and Spicy Boys. Those are like probably like the four best unsigned teams right now.
Okay, yeah, and so about beating them finally, kind of. What's the team's current mindset? Like, do they feel more confident winning this tournament?
I mean, it is the first time that the Spice Overwatch team has actually taken first place. They've gotten second place a few times. There was a big one where they got second place versus Luxury Watch Red. I remember this too. It was a couple of months ago, and everyone made fun of Spice because they were like, "Oh, how could you lose to a Korean team?" Obviously, now if people say, "How could you lose to a Korean team?" That wouldn't happen, because but at the time. The Koreans were playing on a Gosu Gamers weekly, so nobody thought too much of them, and people hadn't seen enough of the Korean teams yet. So when Splyce lost to Luxury Watch Red, people mocked Splyce for it. It was like, oh, how can a
Yeah, I
Western team
remember.
lose to a Korean team? And it was, and then Splyce people were like, you really don't understand like how fast the Koreans got better at this game.
They caught up
It's,
really fast.
yeah,
Really
and then
fast.
but finally, it was like a big sigh of relief. It was to get first place. I mean, it wasn't a major, but it's still something.
Okay. About having both European and American players, uh, you talked about the ping issues you got. Is there anything planned towards like a gaming house or the Euros moving to the US or vice versa? Maybe.
I mean, there's plans by the org. And the org itself already has team houses for, they have it for CS:GO and they have it for League of Legends. There are plans to do something for Overwatch. It's still in like the early stages because it's the end of the year, and for all orgs, the end of the year, things have to move. You got to do that transition from the end of the year to the new year to figure out how the future plans for the org for 2017. So I mean,
Okay.
the house is there, like in terms of like the plans for it. It's still in its early stages, but they do have plans to try to get the EU guys over, and because we feel like once all six players are on a LAN and able to practice together for a long time, that'll be a big difference because a lot of the major teams right now are on LANs, and it does show. It does show, just in tournament results and how teams synergize together.
Okay, so there is something planned. We will see in 2017, I guess. Let's move on to the questions from the community. I've got two. I've got one from your friend Victor. He says, "Are you jelly not being the coach?"
I'm definitely not jelly on being the coach. While I do understand the game pretty well, I do not have like the game sense or game knowledge to even have the hubris to think that I would make a good Overwatch coach. I'm more of an armchair guy. I can watch VODs and watch matches, and I can spectate and I can understand what plays should happen and what plays should not happen, but not at the depth that like the real coaches have. I mean, there's some people out there that are coaches that probably shouldn't be coaches, but generally like Wizard and Black Star and our coaches, they understand the game very well, and they understand it a lot better than I ever would.
So they had that capacity of analyzing things while they are watching, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And they also, it's interesting too because a coach, he's not in the game. He's not playing, so he knows when a team should make a composition swap. Like, and then sometimes you see teams hesitate and not make those composition swaps. Because they get in that mindset. Oh, we got to just keep going. We can make this happen. But a lot of times, like especially, and I think that's happening a lot with Splyce now. They're getting better at knowing when to switch, comps, and that's one of the things their coaches have drilled into them.
Okay, so that's positive to have multiple coach or not?
I mean, yeah. I mean, one is actually like it's the fact that we have one who's a coach that's sort of like, not really have time to input as much as Black Star. So he's more of an he's consultant, but he's still there, and he has his own inputs on certain things. But then we also have Wizard, who, they've both coaches have been able to drill into the team. Is like, hey, when you have to make certain things happen, you got to make it happen. You can't hesitate, and that's a big thing. I think like some of the best teams ever right now, they're able to switch up on the fly, immediately when they feel like something's not working.
Which is to me really really important thing, to be able to adapt on the fly. Like FaZe was saying, we are able to do that, and that's one of the biggest strengths. So I guess that's a good thing for Splyce, right?
Oh yeah, it's a great thing for Splyce now,
Okay.
And then we also had to switch in-game leaders before. We didn't have a shot caller. Usually the shot caller is Lucio. We had a player that was our shot caller, but he decided to pursue a different career, and that was Kozin. He was a great shot caller. And for a long time, we didn't have a proper shot caller until Pure decided to change his role on the team. He was originally like the secondary support player, so he would usually play like Zenyatta or Anna or Mercy, but then he switched over to the Lucio role, and he's actually been our shot caller now, and that's something he's been learning to do better, and he's got the mindset for it, which is great.
This is great. This is great. Okay, last question, which is a bit sillier. It's from Grandy. It's, are you afraid of the dark or processed food?
I am more afraid of processed food than of the dark, but I've had to eat both. Not eat both, but I've had to confront both while in the military. Sitting in the dark for long hours at a time in a ditch, or eating MREs for weeks on end. Yeah, so while I am not particularly afraid of the dark or processed foods, they're not always the most pleasant things. No.
Okay. Well, that's it for today. Thanks a lot, Jay, for this interview. It was very nice having you there. Do you have any final words?
Not really. Thank you for having me, and happy holidays, happy New Year, and I hope for all the fans of Splyce Overwatch, stay tuned, and teams got a lot of things planned in the new year. They're still doing really well in the Realm Winter Series. They plan on still entering the weeklies, and then probably with the New Year's, now that MLG is over and all this stuff, there'll be a lot more tournaments coming back out again.
All right, thank you.
Me like a Hellcat.